So the nomination for Congress for the 11th District of Virginia, which is the roughly western 2/3 of Fairfax County, give or take, that will take place on May 7th at let's see,
University of North
University
America.
of North America.
Yes.
That will be any registered voter who lives in the 11th district, which is again most of Fairfax County, can vote in that Firehouse primary. You need to bring an ID, and it shouldn't take all that long. The way that the voting will be done is by ranked choice voting. But ultimately, if you mark manga number 1 on your ballot, it doesn't really matter what the rest of it is. You can mark anyone else in any order you want, or nobody at all. So the idea is to get the most people marking manga number 1 on that date at that location. The hours are fixed. It's not a normal 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's I think it's
9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's not the same as a normal election. People can't go to their normal voting precincts. They must go to that one location to vote. But as long as you are a registered voter in the 11th district, you can do that.
And it's absolutely key that you mark down manga. We know that historically manga has put up the biggest fight against Jerry Connolly, who's the incumbent. She broke records in 2010 and also 2012. Since 2010 and 2012, she brought in the largest number of raw votes as well as actually carried precincts for the first time. That's a message that needs to get out when you're speaking with potential voters, to share that manga actually can win. Last cycle in 2020, this district was a D+30 district, meaning it was very unlikely for any Republican to win. Manga won a record number of votes. She beat that record. Now this year, it's a D+13 district, so that means that Manga actually has a chance to be able to truly beat Jerry Connolly. She has name ID and recognition. That's why we need her to win the primary. She also has the deepest roots and connections to all the different communities that are really deciding to vote red this time around for a number of reasons, due to the economy, school closures, different COVID policies, as well as wanting someone who is in touch with their needs, which Jerry Connolly is not. So it's a prime opportunity and a chance, the best chance we've ever had since 2010, for Manga to win and unseat Jerry Connolly and force him into retirement.
Now, I wanted to say a little bit more about the 11th district, the way it's drawn right now. So what does it mean when someone says D+13? That means that the average Democrat will get 13 points better than 50%. So the average Democrat would win this district in an average year 63 to 37. That's what a D+13 means. However, this year, we've already seen several polls that show that this year the electorate might be as high as R+14, which means that 14 percentage points greater than the usual, more Republicans would vote in this election, which would put any district that's D+14 or less into play. And that includes this one. That's different from 2020. In 2020, the district was drawn differently. And it's important to understand that. The district was drawn, it was really gerrymandered to Jerry Connolly's liking. He was the one who drew the lines, essentially. But now we don't have that issue. This district is much more fairly drawn now. Therefore, this nomination is worth having. That's the reason why Manga needs to have it, because she's the only one of the people running that has the name identification, because she's already been on a general election ballot once. She has the name identification, and the other thing about Virginia's 11th district is that it's one of only 3 districts in Virginia that's majority minority. What does that mean? That means that it is a majority of folks that are minorities in the country broadly. That's important because time and time again, we have seen that a lot of those communities are very open to meeting and talking with someone who shares their values and who looks like them, who's not the normal Republican they may see, and MAGA fits that bill.
Absolutely. And while we're gearing up for the election on primary day, which once again is May 7th, we really need our volunteers. Volunteers are what make a campaign happen. So we're looking for volunteers for election day currently. We're looking for 3 different groups, people to hand out literature and talk to voters about why they should choose MAGA. We're looking for people who are going to observe the convention and make sure that everything follows the rules to the details. And then we're also looking for people to be a part of the election counting process and to really understand how these elections work and actually count the ballots. All 3 of these positions are very necessary and very helpful, and we really couldn't do it without your help. So we urge you to come help MAGA actually win this election due to just sheer voter support.
It should be noted that MAGA actually made history in 2020 for lots of reasons. She did until MAGA, no Republican had won any precinct in the 11th District of Virginia since 2010 when the lines were redrawn. MAGA won several precincts. First Republican to do that. That's historical. But the other history she made that year, she was the first Indian American Republican nominee in Virginia history. First one of any congressional race. And that's important. That's something that not only will help us here in Fairfax, but it's going to help the Republicans across the Commonwealth to sort of see a broader view of our party.
And the great thing about MAGA is the fact that she's not doing this to culminate her career or to boost up her resume. She's doing this as a true public servant. She wants American values, America first. That's one of her principles. She wants freedom promoted. She has come from India and she came here for the American dream, and she's been seeing it deteriorated before her eyes, and that's why she chose to run. She actually loves the idea of Congress having to go run for re-election every 2 years, and for the voters to hold her accountable, she welcomes that. She is one of you, one of the people. She's lived here for 30 years and understands your plight and why you want Jerry Connolly elected and voted out. So it's an opportunity to bring in MAGA to clean up Congress, clean up the district, and have a voice in Congress.